Good morning, viewers. I'm back once again for another interesting episode of motivation, and I'm sure all my viewers, you are doing great. Well, so this is a weekend, and I feel that this could be a good time to rejuvenate yourself once again with the episode of motivation. In this video, I'm going to continue as I have continued in my last video about motivation, but I'm going to tell you more about the various barriers of motivation. Now, to refresh you once again, viewers, I'm going to tell you that why we would require to motivate, because as we know that people are biological animal and we would always require somebody to influence or the other. But why we always come back to motivate ourselves? Is it not something which lasts for long? Yes, my dear, motivation is something which we need to continually do in order to condition our mind. As we every day eat food to keep ourselves healthy, similarly, we also have to feed our mind with some positive things and positive thoughts, and we can gradually motivate ourselves. So motivation is not a one-day thing to do. It is a regular thing which we need to do in order to condition our mind and to think positively. Well, let's get started. Well, what exactly is the reason that we actually struggle to motivate ourselves, or we struggle to motivate people? The thing is, we need to know that the problem lies in how we understand motivation. Most of the motivators make a common mistake. They always think that everything has a price and we can always convince the person by giving that price. But we forget that the way we think, it is not how actually people see or understand things. So maybe for you what is a standard may not be a standard for others. I have often heard people, when they are actually get struck up in a problem, they always want to find a solution by giving some kind of value or money. But have you ever thought that when an employee is leaving an organization, even if you give him the best of the salary, still he doesn't want to come back? The reason, he is no more interested to work, and possibly it is the environment or the kind of management, or maybe the conditions in the organization is no more motivating for the person. Someone has said that we don't change the job, we change the managers. So it is actually the kind of environment, the circumstance, which is no more motivating for that employee to work in that organization. So what exactly are the primary barriers for motivating people or motivation? The first barrier is giving wrong directions to people. As I also mentioned in my last video, that if you are not clear with your statement, if you are not honest with the expectations which you have from others, people will not be able to motivate. And secondly is how we communicate. Yes, sometimes how we communicate makes a lot of difference. So if you are trying to give an honest motivation, you have to be very sure that what is your way of communicating. So you have to understand the language which you are using, you have to understand the statement which you're going to make, and also need to understand that what could be the impact of that communication. And third is using fear. Some of us always think that imposing fear on somebody or scaring somebody is the easiest way to motivate, and that is what all managers do. We always try to use our authority and try to create fear in our subordinate's mind. Yes, I know it is very easier to work if you give fear to somebody, and if you try to tell him that yes, if you don't do the work, you will be fired from your work. That is definitely going to create some kind of motivation, but it is always a short-lived process. It is not going to stay for a long time in his mind. And always remember that sometimes which can be very useful can also be disadvantageous too. So you need to know that how much fear you should use in motivating people, because people doesn't like that every time you find fault with them. They doesn't like that every time you scare them with the detrimental facts. You also need to make them understand that how you can appreciate them. So my friend, don't always use fear as a factor to motivate people. Try to understand that what exactly are their interests. Sometimes a little pat on their back can make wonders. Sometimes if you appreciate their good things, sometimes if you find that what is actually good in your employees can also motivate them wonderfully. Learn the sandwiching your motivation. What does it mean? Yes, if you are trying to criticize someone, you also have to be understanding what exactly are the positive traits of that person. And when you can sandwich your criticism honestly between the positive things of that person, it is nicely conveyed to that person. So that time your criticism is no more a threat for them, it is rather an inspiration for them. Let us take an example that if you have been motivating your kid and you are trying to every time tell them that yes, you have to do this work because you will be giving them some kind of surprise, some gifts, but still they are not doing their work. They are stubborn, they're rigid, they don't want to change. The reason is that they don't find it interesting. Most of the motivators try to give them a new theory, give them a new pattern and say that this is going to work for you. But what exactly is the guarantee that this pattern is going to be interesting for them? Yes, that is the reason why most of us doesn't get motivated, or it is only for a small time. So next time when you are trying to create a motivation, understand that the pattern or the solutions which you are going to give them, it should be interesting. That is much better than what they are using previously. And once you find it more interesting, I'm sure your audience will be more motivated. So maybe you are a speaker like me, or you are a manager, or you are a parent and you are trying to motivate your kid. Make sure that you give them some fun, give them some interest in their work. I'm sure you will get better result in motivating them. And I'm also very confident saying this thing, that if you really want to show them the right thing, always show them their interest. Take an example, you have a good friend of yours who is a chain smoker and who is never going to give up this habit, and we all know it is difficult for a smoker to leave smoking. So if you tell them that you start chewing gum, you start taking lemon drops, it's not going to work. But only when you tell them that how do you feel that if your smoking is going to benefit your dear ones, how do you feel that way you smoke is not going to help your dear and near ones, and maybe how you want to visualize yourself tomorrow when after 10 years you are not living a healthy life. Probably you are suffering from some respiratory infection, or you are suffering from a dreaded cancer. And you show them that what exactly your life is important for. You have to live for your family. And when they really find an interest, they would be acting on it. And that is how change happens. So, my friends, start thinking on how you motivate. It is not what you say, it is how you say make the difference. And I'm sure you have found this video interesting. If you really like this video, I would request you to go and subscribe my editions, and we should come back with more interesting videos on this motivation series. That's all for today. Thank you. Stay well, stay motivated.